Hey, I'm Liz Loza, and this is Facts versus Feelings, the amuse-bouche to your fantasy focus main course. We're bringing more fantasy, more facts, more feelings, and of course, more fun. And now that I have your attention, today's fact is that growth is knowing when to stay and when to walk away. And we've got producer Presley here this week. Thanks so much for joining us, because what is Facts versus Feelings without a little Mancunian grit from the control room? Nice to see you, Dave.
Oh, it's good to see you, Liz. Thanks for having me back. Big shout out to Q for covering for me last week. I know he's a listener favorite. Let's get it. Week 10. My fantasy lineups are decimated.
Oh, no.
Playoff push. I know.
That's not good.
I need your advice, Liz. I'm in desperate need of your advice.
All right, well, we're gonna build everything back up. Everything's gonna be fine. We're gonna coast you all the way to the playoffs, and hopefully our viewers as well. And if they are enjoying it, we'd appreciate it if they like and subscribe to the video. Maybe if they are having problems like you, Dave, they can also call the voicemail line. What's that number? Because,
Yeah, I mean, therapy. I'm in need of it. 914-348-1893. I think that's the number. That was off the top of the dome, so hopefully it's right.
Wow.
Please leave your messages. We check them on Mondays. Any problems you might have, life problems, football problems, lineup problems, give us a shout. We got your answers. Or Liz has your answers. I'm not a qualified therapist.
Well, I love Dave taking control, and now I just need him to hit the disclaimer.
Fantasy football is a game of inches, luck, and irrational confidence. Proceed with caution, trust your gut, and remember, side effects of listening to this podcast may include spontaneous victory dances, mild trash talking, and the belief that your sleeper pick is better than everyone else's. Take the facts of fantasy football seriously, but consult your feelings before making any lineup changes.
Because I'm done.
What do you mean you're done?
Done.
I did say all my teams were bad, Liz, but there is one shining star throughout, and that is Jaylen Warren, running back of the Steelers. Sometimes you got to know when to hold him and know when to fold him. I'm holding Jaylen for the rest of the season. What do you think?
I think that's a great idea, because Warren has emerged as a really steady Eddie. He's not particularly flashy. And listen, he is never going to be a high volume primary ball carrier in Arthur Smith's offense, but he is definitely the RB1 for the Steelers. He's managed 13 or more fantasy points in 5 of his last 7 games. And when you look at Kenny Gainwell's contributions, they have not been nearly as significant. Warren is managing a snap share of 57% to Gainwell's 39%. Additionally, Warren received all 3 of the running back carries inside the 5 last week in week 9. Also, we love to see a running back that's involved as a pass catcher, and Warren has managed at least 2 receptions in every single outing this season. I like his matchup this week against the Chargers, a defense that's allowing 4.9 yards per carry, the 6th most to opposing rushers. They've also given up the 4th most receptions to running backs over the last 4 weeks, and that works nicely for Warren's skill set. Finally, the Chargers have allowed 7 rushing touchdowns to running backs in the last 5 games, so I think that you can continue to count on Warren as a high floor start in week 10.
Smash him into the end zone. You know who he plays in week 12? No, week 11.
Who?
The Cincinnati Bengals.
Oh, yes.
Another lock. Cash him in.
That's a great look ahead, Dave. Good for you. I appreciate you doing your research.
I've learned from the best, Somebody who I should have cashed in on is this next guy. I didn't. I zigged when everybody else zagged, or maybe I zagged and when everybody else zigged. And
we love big zig energy on this show.
I know we do love big zig energy. That's Kimani Vidal. I missed big time on this guy. He's been pretty consistent, but
no.
Should we be?
Actually, I don't think you missed.
Inconsistent?
I don't want you to beat yourself up about this, because I think this has been a blessing in disguise. Now, obviously, Vidal had those 2 100-plus rushing yard efforts, and we like to remember those, but he's also been really inconsistent. He has managed under 3 yards per carry in 2 of his last 3 games. He struggled to get anything going at Tennessee, no less, in week 9. He actually struggled so much that he started to cede touches to Jarrett Patterson in the second half of the game. And I am not really excited about his outlook moving forward. I don't think there's going to be much of a bounce back for him, in fact, because this Chargers offensive line is really banged up, and now with the loss of offensive tackle Joe Alt,
huge loss.
It's going to be horrible to find holes for Vidal. Fun fact, or not so fun fact, the Chargers are 4-0 in games where Joe Alt has played the entire time, and 2-3 when he misses or gets hurt. Obviously, if the Chargers are trailing, that's not great for Vidal's game script either. The matchup I don't like against the Steelers either. Pittsburgh allowing the 8th fewest fantasy points per game to opposing running backs. They held Jonathan Flipping Taylor to just 45 rushing yards on 14 attempts. That's 3.2 yards per carry in week 9. The only bright side here is that Omarion Hampton, who is obviously in possession of a much more versatile and powerful skill set, is expected to return after the week 12 bye. So maybe that's an opportunity for the Bolts backfield, to redeem itself. But Vidal right now, a very risky play. And I don't think you missed out too much.
You think that's Amarion's backfield when he gets back? You think it's just immediately?
Yeah.
You think it's his?
I do. Right. I don't know how you mess around with this, especially when you need a player of his caliber to overcome the inefficiencies, or the deficiencies, I should say, in the offensive line.
Well, if we think Omarion Hampton's going to be the lead back the moment he returns, this next player, comes onto a team where I think we were guessing who was going to be the lead wideout for the Green Bay Packers, and it's turned out to be Romeo Doubs, and I love it because I roster him everywhere, including Dynasty. Give me all you've got in Romeo.
Look at you with Jaylen Warren and Romeo Doubs. I don't know why your teams are losing so badly.
Different teams.
Okay.
Different teams.
All right. Well, this is another player that I think you felt unexpectedly upset about Vidal, but you shouldn't. You should feel unexpectedly happy about Doubs. I know that Doubs isn't like the flashiest or buzziest of the Packers receivers, right? He doesn't have Christian Watson's big play appeal. He doesn't have Matthew Golden's versatility. He doesn't have Tucker Kraft's yard after the catch ability. And yet, he has been the most relied upon option for Jordan Love. He leads the team in routes run, targets drawn, and catches collected, even on a per game basis. He also has 6 end zone targets, while get this, the rest of the team has registered a total of 7. And, I just mentioned Christian Watson. There was some concern in week 9 with him back on the field that Doubs' volume might shrink. Wasn't the case. He led Watson in targets and snaps as well. Obviously, an unexpected game script boosted the volume for Doubs, but as well as in-game injuries, which we're going to talk about in a second. But again, it bears noting that when Jordan Love needed somebody, it was Doubs who he relied on. He is playing in a workman-like fashion, and now we've got Kraft out for the season. That's a huge blow. We've got Golden nursing a shoulder injury, so Doubs figures to remain very much in the mix. I like the matchup as well. It is going to be, because of the NFL trade deadline, a bit of a surprise Jair Alexander revenge game, and that might make things spicy, but the Eagles' defense has given up 30 or more fantasy points per game to opposing wide receiving cores in 5 of the team's last 6 outings. I've got Doubs ranked as my wide receiver 25, so I think managers, depending on their league sides, can keep him on the either wide receiver 2 or wide receiver 3 bubble in week 10, and probably moving forward depending on how these injuries shake out.
Let's go. Romeo Doubs to the moon. You heard it here first. Jaylen Warren, Vidal, we'll see what happens.
All right, Dave, good luck on your teams and good luck to our viewers as well. We got this.
This is a safe place. It's a place where we can feel free sharing our feelings.
Now let's get comfortable on the couch and dive into fantasy therapy, a safe space for all of your fantasy football questions.
Liz, we saw what you put out in your socials. Cash out or crash out. I crashed out a little bit on week 9, but we had plenty of people writing in who were crashing out big time. I want to start there. First one, Scott 110316, kind of more complicated like our voicemail number. He says, Odunze with just 3 targets and 0 points. That's going to leave a mark. It sure did. As somebody that rosters Odunze in multiple leagues, there's a running trend here. My teams are
No, David, they're not. They're not. I also roster him a couple of places. I get it. That definitely, it sucks to see a 0, especially when Rome Odunze on my team, on my Chicago Bears, the player that I, ahead of the season, waved the alpha.
That's what you called him, the alpha.
That's the alpha. I know. And to see him and Caleb Williams unable to connect. Listen, you are not alone, Scott 12789, whatever it
Nailed
is.
It.
because also Romo Dunze's dad, Pops crashed out on the socials as well, asking for his son to get traded.
Everybody,
needs to
quiet like down.
Everybody was shook by this, and I don't like the 0, right? Like, I had a 0, and I know you did too, babe, but from Quentin Johnson the week before. Like, you don't want zeros 2 weeks in a row. It stings. It stings.
Same team.
Same.
What do I do next, Liz? Do I stick with him? Because in my mind, I'm like, it's been working out well. I got to ride this one out. I got to stick with him and see what happens over the next couple of weeks. Or are you bailing? Are you out? What should Scott do? Are you giving him any advice to bail?
So,
or I want to stay.
This is, should I stay or should I go? Right? And it's never an easy choice. Especially when Odunze managed 5 touchdowns over his first 4 games. So you're like, yeah, we are happy. We are making this work. And then he's just had 4 straight games without a score, and he's not making it up for yardage, right? 32 or fewer yards in 3 of his last 4 outings. He did have that end zone target. And this is what I think the distillation of the issue is. Caleb Williams cannot effectively employ Ben Johnson's offense because he needs to show more on-ball timing. Now, I'm not a tape head, don't come at me, but you don't need to know that when Odunze is targeted in the end zone, that is not a drop. That pass was thrown behind him. Okay, so the issue is going to be how quickly can you fix Caleb Williams' accuracy issues? I will say now that you can't look at the matchup either, obviously, because the Bengals are generous as hell. And he gets another generous matchup against the Giants. So yes, I think that he will bounce back, just like Quentin Johnston did from week 8 to week 9. Because if you know there is a deficiency and you are Ben Johnson and you know the talent that you have and the draft pedigree that you have poured into both of these players, you are going to work like hell to fix the problem. He will bounce back. How much remains the question. You can believe in people. You can want it for them, but they have to do the work for it to actually work. So I think until we see something different, you have to consider Odunze's talent and flex him maybe on the depth of your league, even consider him a low-end wide receiver too, and lean into the upside, the hope, the talent that you know is present, the potential that you know is present, and not give up on that. Not give up on it, but also manage your expectations and make sure that you have plenty of high floor other players throughout your roster and lineup to balance things out.
So you're not benching him. You're just downgrading.
Exactly. And I'm making sure that I am, if he is an upside play, I'm finding a nice floor elsewhere. Probably I'm starting him as my wide receiver too, and I'm going to find a nice floor flex, probably a running back with good goal line exposure to balance off those potential variance or volatilities.
Come on, Caleb, get it together. Jesus.
Yeah.
All right. Next crash out comes from Big H13. He lost Jaden Daniels near the goal line when he needed 2.5 fantasy points.
That's 2.5
to win his matchup. That is 2.5 points. And I mean, let's be serious. Jaden shouldn't have even been on the field at this point. I'd be crashing out hard too. Big H. What a ridiculous coaching decision.
I think a large portion of the entire Delmarva area was crashing out, seeing Jaden Daniels still in that game. It was unnecessary, but we can go over. I mean, obviously, it's not the same, but there are whispers of RG3 because of the franchise. It's a whole new regime from ownership down. But
there's some conspiracy theories out there. I've seen them.
I mean, #triggered, right? Understandably, I don't really know what to say, right? I know that Alex, one of our other producers, is also starting Marcus Mariota, and that you just do, you put your hand on your face and maybe just so you spread your fingers so that just one eye is visible so you can actually press the button. But, we are going to talk about streaming quarterbacks a lot, and I think that that's basically what you have to do. There aren't a lot available, but you're going to have to play the matchups and you're going to have to stream, and you are not going to give up because that is gross and not allowed. This is a week-to-week adventure, and if everything was easy, you wouldn't enjoy it during the process. So while it definitely sucks and you are allowed to get in your feels, man, we got a full moon right now. Go look at the moon and then work the waiver wire, work the free agency, put together a trade, get back on your feet, and get out there because it's not over yet.
Yeah, I mean, I guess Big H, at the end of the day, I mean, we're arguing that Jaden shouldn't have been in the game, and that wouldn't have helped you anyway because you needed 2.5 fantasy points. So you needed Jaden in the game. So maybe it's your fault. No, I'm just kidding.
No, don't do that to him.
Alrighty, I think it's time for a guest. You have a special guest coming. Repeat guest. I have something to say to this guest, Liz, but we'll hold that for later.
I can't wait to hear it, Dave.
I got a bone to pick.
To pick? Joining us today is one of the friendliest and funniest humans in the fantasy space. He is the community ambassador for Footballguys and host of their weekly trivia show, which is called Trivia Night Live. Very direct. Please welcome back to the show our guy, Joey Wright. Joey, it's so good to see you.
I am excited to be back, a little surprised to be back. I think we'll get into that later. But more than anything, I'm just happy to be here with you, Liz. I'm happy to talk some football. Let's go. Let's do it.
I am very excited. Our longtime listeners will know that Joey was the guest on our first published episode. So we wanted to come back because that was so good. And now that we are just past the halfway point of the season, do a little check-in. But before we do that, we are going to play a game that your existence as a cinephile actually inspired. I am going to read you a description of a movie, and then you are going to comp it to a player and situation in Week 10. Got it?
Got it.
All right, let's start with one of the greatest cinematic masterpieces of all time. I am not being hyperbolic. It is obviously Shawshank Redemption. Get busy living or get busy dying.
I don't think I could make it on the outside, Andy.
Which player do you think has underperformed due to circumstances out of his control, but will shine heading into Week 10?
Ooh, I know who I'm not going to say. So underperformed. Let me give a little love to Christian Kirk this week. He's got a good matchup against the Jaguars, and it is a revenge game matchup for Christian Kirk. He's not really shown up this year, but I think this might be the week he gets back on track. I know Davis Mills is at quarterback there with the Houston Texans at this point, unless C.J. Stroud clears concussion protocol, which I don't think he's going to at this point. But let me give a little love to Christian Kirk. Maybe he bounces back.
I think that's a really interesting take. I started the season with Christian Kirk as one of my But Daddy, I Love Him players, and then he promptly got hurt shortly after we finished recording. So I'm a little bit bitter. I think injuries have been the biggest issue for Kirk, but you make a good point about Davis Mills being under center and how a short yardage target like Kirk would probably benefit Mills' playing style. So we're keeping tabs and going on to the next one. Let's transition to a Hanks and DiCaprio classic called Catch Me If You Can.
You know why the Yankees always win, Frank?
Because they have Mickey Mantle.
Where DiCaprio's criminal antics eventually come up to him. Here's the question. Who is a player who has been overperforming, but that you think will crash back down to earth in Week 10?
I don't know how much longer Aaron Rodgers can do it. He's actually looked okay, and I just don't know how much more he can do. He's going against the Chargers this week. Chargers have been pretty good against fantasy quarterbacks. I could see Rodgers crashing down to earth. How much longer can he do it?
I think that's a really good name, especially with so many streaming needs at the quarterback position and with so many great defenses exploitable defenses, I should say, on bye that we need options, and Aaron Rodgers has filled that void for a lot of managers. So to downgrade him this week certainly illuminates other opportunities or, potential fill-ins for him. So as usual, Joey, don't disagree too much. Would love to see Aaron Rodgers crash back to down past more than earth. Anyway, not editorializing at all. Number 3, let's move to one of Pixar's best films. There are so many to choose from, a catalog of options, but we're sticking with Cars.
Speed. I am speed.
where Lightning McQueen ultimately takes Strip Weather's place as the best car in the Piston Cup. I can't believe that's a sentence I just said on a fantasy football advice show. Who is one player that has been deemed the second option on their team, but will prove that they should be the number one in week 10.
Okay, so I'm going to go a little off the board here, and I'm going to kind of try to connect a little bit. Cars is my least favorite Pixar movie, so I'm going to connect it to a Jets-Browns player because I never want to see it again. Just like I don't want to see that game this weekend.
You have to now explain why Cars elicits such a passionate response from you.
I think it's a Larry the Cable Guy thing. I don't find him funny. And I don't know, it just feels a little too... Paul Newman, I know, does a voice in it, and I love Paul Newman, but yeah, I'll connect it to Isaiah Davis. He's been getting a lot of passing downs work. Seems like he's taking that over. And Breece Hall, like, doesn't seem very happy with the Jets at this point.
No.
Putting out some tweets yesterday of, looking around, wanting to get out. Seemed very upset that he wasn't traded. I think everyone was kind of expecting if a running back was going to get traded at the trade deadline, it would have been Breece Hall. I think if we see Isaiah Davis get a little bit more work, I wouldn't be shocked.
I just picked him up on waivers for this exact reason. He was one of my anticipatory look-ahead options and really widely available. So same page there. How about we shift gears out of Cars? Look at what I just did. Last time you were on the show, you gave us quite the spicy take. We are going to play the audio of that take for you to listen back. Producer Presley, you want to put that on speaker for our buddy?
What is your hottest fantasy football hot take for 2025?
Trevor Lawrence will be a league winner.
Wow. Okay, you have got to explain because I have trust issues from him last year.
And that's fine. Well, there was an injury last year. 20th quarterback off the board right now, which means in typical 10-team ESPN leagues, he might not even be drafted. The last time we saw a healthy Trevor Lawrence, he finished as the QB 13 and then the QB 8. So in 2023, he was the QB 13. In 2022, the QB 8. The Jaguars have spent the last 2 years building up that offense around Lawrence to finally succeed. We saw him come out of Clemson. He was this blue chip prospect that was going to come into the league, take it over. The next Peyton Manning. I think that actually could start now. Brian Thomas Jr. and Travis Hunter, two of the best wide receivers in the league right now. If you're looking at the young guys, if you're drafting in dynasty leagues, Brian Thomas Jr., Travis Hunter are at the top of your list.
I think we can just cut it there. I think producer Presley just stopped the torment here. So real quick, Joey, before you respond, because I'm going to give you a moment to gather yourself. Trevor Lawrence was the QB 20 off the board in terms of drafts heading into the season. He is currently the QB 17 in fantasy points per game. So better. There was some value there. I will also add that one of my favorite producers, who you are at this point well acquainted with, did take your advice, and he would like to join the show at this point. Dave?
What the Joey? What?
Listen.
The...
From what I heard,
me.
it wasn't just you. I heard quite a few producers all went in on Trevor Lawrence. I
Defend
am
the
sorry.
take. Defend the take.
He can't.
So, listen, I'm not going to defend it because I think that's asinine. When people come onto shows and they're like, "Oh, well, here are the reasons I was wrong." No. You own it. We hit, we miss. My miss, I should say, just happened to be on probably the biggest platform I had at that time. But, Trevor Lawrence has had a bad season. I thought with this new offense coming in, maybe Liam Cohen could sprinkle some magic that he had with Baker. It just hasn't happened. I'm hoping at some point they can get it together, but it was a miss. It was an absolute miss. The only saving grace I have from telling people to draft Trevor Lawrence is if you took him late. And there's been Daniel Jones, Jackson Dart, that you've been able to pivot to late-round quarterbacks that weren't drafted in any leagues. And that's kind of the philosophy with taking a quarterback late. Is that when you take one late, if they do miss, you can go and you can grab somebody off the waiver wire to kind of make your team a little better. I really wish I would have come on and said Justin Herbert.
Oh, it's okay.
So
Joey.
does Dave.
I still love you. Yeah. My fantasy teams do. My wallet will do by the end of the season. No, I still love you, Joe. We put you on the spot here, but sometimes takes are gonna miss, and that one sure did.
Thank you for being a good sport about it, Joey. And I just want our listeners to know that we are not sneaking around doing this to guess. We did tell Joey that we had wanted to do this and he agreed to it. So I don't want anyone to think that we're like smashing and grabbing, if that's the right thing to say. I'm not quite sure. My producer did not like me saying smash and grab just now. She made a big old face. Anyway, thank you, Joey, for being a good sport.
Oh, yeah.
Who is your favorite quarterback this season?
Ooh.
Like
okay,
value quarterback. Who has emerged as your favorite value quarterback this season? Because obviously it's not Aaron Rodgers.
If Matthew Stafford can keep it up, what he's doing there in LA is fantastic. And
That's
Matthew Stafford was the third quarterback that I forgot to mention. Another double-digit round quarterback, not even drafted, that you could have picked up off the waiver wire. He has looked fantastic. At one point, he was QB4 on the season. He slipped down, I think, around QB9 now, but still. When he's got a healthy Puka and Devontae Adams playing like they are right now, he's one of the best in the league.
Devontae Adams was such an incredible acquisition for the Rams and for Matthew Stafford's production. Speaking of trades, though, the NFL trade deadline just passed. So I'm asking you, which NFL deal do you think has made the biggest fantasy impact?
Rashid Shaheed going to the Seahawks. And I don't mean that from a aspect of just Shaheed on the Seahawks. I think he is going to get work. I think he's going to fit in with that offense really well. It's kind of a reunion, you could say. But it's also allowing Chris Olave to be the target hog beast that he needs to be. We've seen it start to happen in the last few weeks. I think it might be one of the reasons Rashid Shaheed was moved to Seattle. Chris Olave is back into wide receiver one territory once again, and I'm happy to see that. So it's kind of both sides that the trade, I think, worked out for fantasy. From a team perspective, I don't think the Saints are going anywhere. So
two things to follow up on. I think also you mentioning the Chris Olave potential boost in volume, though it's been rather robust. I think this does help Juwan Johnson, who does have a great matchup in tight end, has obviously been so volatile, and everyone's always looking for a streamer at the position. So Johnson, I think, gets a boost in volume as well with Shaheed in Seattle. The only thing I'm disappointed about, though, is that we just saw Torrey Horton have this incredible game, and I thought it was going to be really difficult to put that genie back in the bottle, if you will, because I know the Cooper Kupp was out, but Horton is such a different player and such a great complement to JSN that I thought we might be able to build some momentum. And now Shaheed has a similar skill set to Horton's, and so it kind of throws cold water on that potential coming out party.
Yeah, that's the thing with Torrey Horton, is that he is probably going to lose some work. We've seen Sam Darnold be one of the most efficient quarterbacks in the league. He doesn't throw a lot of passes, so slim pickings to go around already. I'm actually worried that it might take the cap off JSN just a little bit of all the players here in Seattle for pass catchers.
Well, something to keep an eye on. JSN has been an absolute monster, a production monster, and everyone who drafted him is very fortunate. Let's talk about insurance, because now we're in the double-digit weeks of the season, and this is when we like to start adding backup running backs in particular as insurance. So how are you approaching this point of the season in terms of backup running backs?
So what I like to do this time of year, of any team that I have that's playoff bound, I like to go make one big trade. And what I do, I know you mentioned one running back. Let's say you've got Saquon Barkley. Oh, I should go get Will Shipley. I don't really look at it from a one-for-one basis. I look at my entire team's position depth. So the best way I can explain this is to give you a real example of something I'm doing now. So my team on ESPN, 10-team league, False God, I'm going to go through each position. At quarterback, I'm set. I've got Daniel Jones and Baker Mayfield. I'm going to play the matchups there. If one of them gets hurt, I'm fine. I've got the other. So I'm set at quarterback. No need to go trade for a quarterback. At tight end, I've got Trey McBride. I mentioned earlier, I love Trey McBride when I was on the show back in June. Trey McBride is my favorite tight end this year.
You hit on that take, for sure.
Yeah. Well, it's good to hit on one. But I got Colson Loveland a couple weeks ago, and he looked fantastic last week. I feel like I'm set at tight end. There's rarely going to be a week I sit Trey McBride. Now, where I'm facing a pretty big hole is at running back. I've got Get Me Out of Here Breece Hall, who doesn't want to be in New York anymore, and then a bunch of timeshare guys with Rashad White and Kareem Hunt. Luckily, I have Devon Achane as my RB1, so I'm not going to be sitting him.
That's great.
But at wide receiver, I've got a stacked lineup. I've got Devonta Smith, DK Metcalf, CeeDee Lamb, Emeka Ibuka, and Ladd McConkey. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go move one of those wide receivers out and bring in a running back. Maybe even package them, DK Metcalf, and Brees Hall and go grab James Cook, something like that. So what I like to do is bolster my position depth versus just backing up one player.
Okay. So you like insurance everywhere, not just in terms of running backs.
Yes. I don't like to go in with a glass cannon. As one say, like where
That's great advice.
You're loaded up at, just 2 spots. And then if one goes down, you're done. I like to have a little bit of insurance there, but at all positions.
All right. Obviously, quarterback, as we've discussed already, has been one of the positions that's been decimated by injuries. And we've got people on bye, obviously, this week as well. So what's your favorite stream at the position for week 10 specifically?
If you can go out and find Jackson Dart or Jared Goff, if they're there, they're probably not. I love their matchups. But the guy I'm going to mention that's pretty widely available, 64% of ESPN leagues, is J.J. McCarthy. He's playing at home against the Baltimore Ravens this week. They give up the 7 most fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks. And Lamar Jackson is back for the Ravens, which means the Ravens are going to put up points. The Vikings defense has been kind of middle of the road this week. I expect J.J. McCarthy to have quite a homecoming this week. He is my favorite streaming quarterback that's pretty widely available.
Do not need the validation, but appreciate the confirmation, Joey. JJ McCarthy leads my Facts versus Feelings column this week, available on the.com. So thank you very much. All right, we're going to finish up here. I'm going to move things into a different order. Give me your most confident sit for week 10.
I have the chance to do the funniest thing ever and just say Trevor Lawrence because he's going against Houston. But really, I already hit on it. Brees Hall. He's conceding work to Isaiah Davis. That matchup against the Browns is going to be tough for Brees Hall. And from a feeling perspective, I like to look at that too. He's not happy. And last week, he played good in a great matchup where he was probably hoping to get traded. I'm not saying he's going to sit, but I'm not sure where his motivation is at this point to go out there and perform against a really tough Browns defense.
I mean, I think the matchup to me is more of a red flag than the actual feelings because people always feel real great about getting money and we don't know what the incentives built into his contract are. So I always like when people are like, oh, well, what's his motivation? His mortgage, the bag, that is always motivation, even if you're not happy about it. But I do think it might affect his efficiency. So fair enough. Your favorite start going into week 10?
It's hard not to go back to Kyle Monangai after what we saw last week. 29 total touches for 198 yards. And you might say, oh, well, Joey, he's going against the Bengals. They give the most points to fantasy running backs right now in the league. Luckily, he's going against the Giants this week. He give up the second most fantasy points. If DeAndre Swift is not back this week, I think Kyle Monangai is a slam dunk start this week.
Yeah, it's going to, again, hard to put. We said genie back in the bottle, toothpaste back in the tube with this one. I'm going to end the segment and our time together giving you an opportunity to redeem yourself in a hot take. So what is your hottest take for the remainder of the 2025 fantasy season?
This was the most stressful part of my day, preparing for the show. It was like, what am I going to say now? Because if I miss twice, I'm in trouble. I might have
No, you'll just be a legend. You'll just be a legend.
Go out and see if you can get A.J. Brown or Devonta Smith on your fantasy teams. The Eagles have the best wide receiver strength of schedule left. Their opponents give up an average of 35 fantasy points per game to the position. It's the best schedule in the league. If you can go out and get them on the cheap right now, Smith is wide receiver 17. A.J. Brown's wide receiver 32. We know the talent these two guys have. Go use that information, get them in trade on the cheap. I really like them the rest of the season.
Can I ask you to just add a little bit of context, maybe up the ante a little bit and tell me where you think A.J. Brown will finish within the position at the end of the season?
Especially A.J. Brown, I think could be a top 12 wide receiver rest of the season.
Wide receiver 12. So Joey Wright thinks A.J. Brown, who is currently ranked outside of the top 30 producers at the position, will finish 2025 as the wide receiver 12 in fantasy. Yes?
100%.
We got you, baby. All right, Joey, please tell everybody where they can follow you, find your work, plug it away, honey, because you know I adore you and everything you do.
Thank you so much for having me back. You can find me on all the socials at the Joey Wright. It's the Joey Wright, really, if I'm being honest. If you like trivia, I host a weekly trivia show in partnership with Fantasy Cares over at Footballguys, the YouTube channel, Trivia Night Live with my good buddy Jake Bryant. We host that every week. And then I do a Start Sit show on Sunday mornings over at Footballguys. So having a lot of fun over there. And thank you once again for having me back. I'm once again sorry for all the Trevor Lawrence drafting, and hope you guys can rebound with your seasons.
This is the job. There are no apologies. We hit, we miss, and we just hope we hit more often than we don't. Thank you. And we hit with you as a guest now twice. No one else has done that, so you are already becoming a legend in the facts versus feelings world. Thank you so much for joining us, Joey. I'll see you soon.
Last call.
Today we learned that Trevor Lawrence is not a league winner, that Joey Wright wants to fight Larry the Cable Guy, and that winning requires us to get real about our personal tolerances. Remember that while some windows never open, all of them eventually close. It's up to us to decide what we're willing to stay for and what we need to walk away from. Big thanks to Joey Wright for calling in and playing along, and as always to producer Dave for keeping me accountable even when I don't enjoy it immediately. You can check out my Week 10 edition of the Facts versus Feelings column, which is currently live on the .com, and be sure to leave us a voicemail. That number to call is 914-348-1893. Nailed it. Until next time, may your facts be solid, your feelings be right, and your bus be someone else's problem.
Cars is personal. That's deep rooted. It's a good movie with a good message that tells kids that winning the right way is more important than winning. And he doesn't appreciate that because apparently he hates Larry the Cable Guy, and that's fine. But he's missing out.
The sequel to Inside Out left me destroyed.
My gosh, yeah. It was so heavy. Adding in the puberty emotions was like, whoa.
Oh, I forgot about that part. Mostly it was anxiety.
Oh, I don't know how to transition out of that.
Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou my Romeo? I'm not quite sure if I quoted
enough.
Shea.
Whatever. I'm Mancunian. We don't know Shakespeare.
It was written a long time ago. It wasn't in circulation when I was born. Or it wasn't. Let's take it back. Jesus Christ. Options, right? He doesn't have the big play appeal that Christian Watson has. He doesn't have... I was going to... Can we start over?
Yeah, my bad.